In 30 years as a reporter, I've worked in lots of places that you could describe as being on the edge. I've worked in Jerusalem, I've worked in New York, I've worked in Belfast during the Troubles. But this really is a community that's on the edge, because these houses, which are perfectly nice, normal New Zealand houses, are in the red zone. And the people who live in them have been told that they're going to have to leave. They just have to get out of their homes and find somewhere else to live.
For Debbie and Steve Jager and their toddler Matthew, the quakes have turned life upside down.
The crack there, this concrete used to be flat with that down there.
Oh, right.
And that, when the liquefaction does, when we have earthquakes and the liquefaction comes in, it pours out of that crack and then usually tries to aim for the house.
Wow.
Because the whole house sits that way.
So the house itself
has tilted from that corner, the far corner there, across to the diagonal corner. It's tilted up on a, well, they reckon about somewhere between 3.5 and 5 centimetres.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's a bit of a mess, but yeah. And if you come around here, you can see where we still have liquefaction sitting on the ground, but you can see the level at which it was at all the way along.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And still in the trees, actually.
So is that all coming out of that, just that?
Not just that crack, it also, there's a, now that, because we haven't, now that we've moved it all, but there's actually a crack. We're standing on an old foundation of an old warehouse, an old workshop.
Yeah.
And so just the edge of the house to this post here is where that foundation ends, and so it fills and cracks and flows that way. We do know that we will be moving out of here, and we know that everyone else has to move, but what it means to us as a community, because I think part of community spirit is people more than anything. And so I think that I would hope that the friendships that have been sort of grown in this, I'd like to say it as a battlefront, as something that will actually stick and stay, and that we will be able to continue these friendships no matter where we are. May it be through visiting or letters or whatever that it may be. I know that some of the people in this area are wanting to leave Christchurch, and they've just had enough and they're out. Me and my wife, we are keen to stay. We have a lot of our life here. We still feel young enough and crazy enough, brave enough, however you want to say it, to at least stick it out.
So what actually happened inside the house?
Well, if you come on in with me, I'll show you.
Okay.
We've got, well, first things you can see is that we've got a bit of patchwork carpet. Liquefaction in the February one came through this door and flowed right through the house. And so over the course of a few days, we had to remove the carpet and then pick everything up, dry it, clean it, and everything like that. Some of the big things you'll see once now that we have removed the carpet is a good-sized cracks in the foundation.
And when you've got a little one like Matthew there, I mean, it must be, you must have your hands full all the time, just making sure he's not getting into trouble.
It is a lot like that, yeah. We do have a lot of places where he can't really play outside a lot of the time. Yeah. Hence the reason we now let him play with his bikes inside. I mean, he can't really wreck too much more anyways.
How much more damage can you do?
Yes. But in the same sense, it's actually more of a safety thing for him as well. Yeah. So that we can, just so we can know that he's not getting into anything or eating anything or playing. I mean, most of his toys are outside and we're outside in the earthquake. They're still out there, they're still covered in stuff, and that's just because of, just the way it is, I guess. And he, so we have to watch him quite closely, make sure he's not doing anything that's going to get himself too dangerous. Yeah.
Steve's wife Debbie leads the Girls Brigade at Opawa Baptist Church. The girls continue to enjoy all their usual activities, from Zumba through to craft. For most of them, normality is something to be cherished.
I was one of the ones who was sitting close to the door in the earthquake, and I crawled outside, but Mr. McGinnis hadn't told me that I had to get under the desk. I managed to dodge the CAW, which stands for Computers on Wheels.
Was it frightening?
Yeah, really.
It's kind of been a struggle having my auntie, she's in the red sticky area, so she's going to have to go. And it's been really hard because, it's just so unsettling to think that we can't control this, and it's all to do with, the earth, and it's just not fair. We've had the September one, and then we were on track, and then we had the February one, and then it's just we're sick of it now, and then to have more, and it's just, we're kind of getting sick of it.
What's your house like? Was that damaged?
Yeah, kind of. The garage is on a lean and we've got lots of liquefaction.
So what's it like to live in your house? Is it cold at the moment?
Not really, because we have power, so I have to have my electric blanket on every night.
Well, my mum, she's got to catch up because she's at university, and since the earthquake happened, she has to catch up. And she does night shifts every night, so it might shake because I'm asleep when that happens. And my dad, he stays up until 6 o'clock, 9 or something.
It's been quite stressful. I'm a bit over them, to be honest.
We all see the adverts about being prepared, but is anyone ever prepared?
No, I don't think you ever can be really prepared. Like, we get told about things, what we should have and what we shouldn't do and stuff like that. But when the moment hits, you kind of just go into this safe mode, like, I want to go home, I want to be safe. But I think now, because we've been through it, we've gone through a few of them, we kind of know what to do now. We know that just to stay calm, contact family, and then stay off the lines, pretty much, just to get to a safe place and finding that everyone's all right.
Diana Barr is the Girls Brigade's Canterbury area commander.
Yes and no. There are times like this where things look perfectly normal. I think the difficult thing for most people is the uncertainty of when there might be a shake and how big it might be. So for some of these children, they don't know how to respond, and we don't know how they'll respond. Very little children, we've found, I have 2 preschoolers, and they are on the whole absolutely fine, but every now and again there's something very strange that happens and you think, is that normal preschool activity, or is that something that's related to a fear? And there are lots of reports of children who suddenly won't go somewhere and then eventually they figure out that that's where they were when there was a big aftershock, for example.
So what are the practicalities of living in a place where there's so many aftershocks and so many quakes? What's it just like on a day-to-day basis?
It takes longer to get everywhere. The roads are in bad repair. No matter where you are, there is damage to the roads. It's a little hard to know sometimes whether the building that you need to go to is going to be open. If it is, whether its hours are normal. For Girls Brigade companies around the city, we've found that we've got one company that can't use their buildings, so they are meeting on the other, not on the other side of town, further through the eastern suburbs. They, as it happens for all but one of their families, it's actually closer to their homes. But there's all sorts of difficulties that go with that. We've got girls that come to Girls Brigade who have previously gone to schools which are damaged. They now find themselves at school on a different site. So the schools have divided up their days where they have one school meets there in the morning and the other in the afternoon. So for some of our brigade families, we've got girls who previously finished school at 3:30. They now start at lunchtime and finish at 5. That means that being at brigade at 6 is almost impossible for some of them. Their families need to get them to and from school and their after-school activities. So it's had a really big impact on families and children in terms of the after-school activities that they can be involved in and the family lives that go around that.
You sort of just have to take one day at a time. You're just sort of planning. Some days you're even planning, am I going to go back home today, or do I stay where I am? We're lucky we've got lots of family here that we've kind of camped out at. And yeah, it's really just a case of one day at a time and making sure you're surviving, really. The house is still safe to live in, so I guess we're lucky that we're still in the house, but it's just not the same. It was our first house. We only bought it last year in January, so it's been a little bit of a shattered dream for us, but it's what you get dealt. So.
Going through hardships and struggles, I believe, personally, it amplifies what we feel in our heart. And so therefore, if we feel love in our heart, when we go through struggles, we also amplify that. So for us, going through hard times, I think in a way has actually shown us what where truly our heart is and where our true faith is. It's pretty scary to go through an earthquake, 6s and 7s and stuff like that, especially repetitively. But part of that also, for me, when we go through it and everything, and then it settles again, you have the sense of, you take sort of a bit of a quick moment, check and make sure you're safe. And then I always say a quick prayer and say, God, I stand in awe of who you are and what you are. Because one, he has the ability to shake an earth. Two, but the fact that he still sees us through and he gives us this inner peace that, it's actually can't quite understand it, but love to feel it and love to be in it, because it gives us this piece of knowing that even if the worst has happened to our family and our friends, that that Christ has come and taken that sting away, and so we know that we'll again see them again in heaven.
I think that it's very easy to spend a lot of time bogged down in what's on TV and immersed in the personal tragedies, and there is no doubt that those exist. But I think there are some very positive things that are coming out.
I guess, you know, the quake happens and the big ones are scary and you do sort of sit there and a million thoughts run through your head, but then, yeah, it's when you have to, you know, spend an extra half an hour travelling each day and things just take so much longer to do. I mean, at the moment, I have to shower at work. I can't shower at home. My drainage isn't working properly. And just things, you know, things like being organised to that, having to get washing done by other people and sending loads out. And I guess it's then that you realise how much support we have from family and friends here. And I mean, that's part of the reason why we've stayed for so long, was just we don't want to, you know, give up on people. Things, yeah. I guess the biggest, blessing that I've had is after the June 13th aftershocks, and we got more liquefaction around our house, and we just didn't have the energy to try and get a team to come in and start shoveling again for us. And I came home one day, and our neighbour's son had organised a team to clear all the silt, and yeah, I just burst into tears. I was like, you know, they're still living there. They had no water, no way to clean up afterwards, and it was all gone for us. And it was just, amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.